Listen closely, because once you step into the world of the Olmecs, you will sense immediately that something here refuses to fit into the familiar timelines we've been taught. The forests of Veracruz and Tabasco whisper of a civilization older, stranger, and more enigmatic than anything that followed them. And yet, for centuries, their origin has been hidden behind scholarly caution, fragmented discoveries, and the stubborn silence of the earth itself. But tonight, you and I take a different path. We allow the evidence to speak, and we listen. Imagine standing in the humid air of the Gulf Coast around 1500 BCE. In the deep green world of saber trees and mangrove marshes, a civilization is emerging, one that erects colossal stone heads weighing tons, that carves jade with a precision that would challenge modern tools, that aligns its ceremonial centers with the movements of the stars long before the Maya even appear on the horizon. A culture whose fingerprints stretch across Mesoamerica, yet whose origins remain shrouded in a mist of unanswered questions. Archaeologists call them the Olmecs, the rubber people, a name given by the Aztecs thousands of years later, but the people themselves? We don't know what they called their nation, their rulers, or even their gods. Their words vanished long before the first European chronicler arrived. What survives is only the stone, the earth beneath it, and the mysteries encoded within. You look at their colossal heads, 8 feet tall, carved from basalt transported from mountains over 100 kilometers away, and you feel the presence of individuals. Not gods, not symbols. People, real rulers, with expressions so specific you could mistake them for portraits sculpted yesterday. And yet here is where the first puzzle emerges. No one can fully explain how these giant monuments were carved, moved, and erected in a region with no pack animals, no wheels, and no metal tools. Scholars have theories, but theories alone do not move 40 tons of rock across swamps. Their settlements appear suddenly in the archaeological record. Not slowly, not organically, but with the complexity of cities that should have taken millennia to achieve. The pyramids of La Venta, the ceremonial courts, a sophisticated hydraulic engineering system buried beneath San Lorenzo. Nothing about this suggests a people experimenting with civilization for the first time. It suggests a culture building upon knowledge, knowledge we have yet to find the earlier traces of. And here lies one of the secrets that no one tells you about. For all their achievements, the Olmecs left behind almost no direct evidence of how they acquired their knowledge. Their emergence looks less like the beginning of a society and more like the reappearance of one. So where did they come from? Most archaeologists will tell you the Olmecs developed locally from earlier Gulf Coast cultures, that they were indigenous to the region, evolving gradually. And on the surface, the evidence supports this. The earliest settlements show continuity in pottery styles, in agricultural practices, in the cultivation of maize, and the domestication of dogs. The Gulf Coast was fertile, rich in resources, a perfect cradle for early complexity. But then the anomalies begin to accumulate. Across their art, you find faces and features that have sparked debate for nearly a century. Some see African features, thick lips, wide noses. Others see the stylization typical of Mesoamerican art. But the truth? The colossal heads don't give us a definitive answer. They give us ambiguity. And ambiguity is the birthplace of mystery. There are legends too, fragments of myths passed on by later civilizations. The Maya spoke of an ancient people, older than the world they knew, masters of creation myths and cosmic cycles. The Aztecs spoke of the Tlapalan, the Red Land, a mysterious place where culture heroes journeyed to learn the secrets of the universe. And some researchers see in these stories echoes of the Olmecs, echoes of migrations, echoes of memories that reach beyond recorded time. Then there are the artifacts, strange objects found far from the Gulf Coast, carrying Olmec motifs, jaguar-human hybrids, were jaguars, with almond eyes and downturned mouths, jade figurines that scholars still argue about. Were these symbols of rulers, gods, shamanic transformations, or something deeper, something connected to their cosmology, their understanding of human origins, their rituals of transformation? Every explanation seems incomplete. Every interpretation reveals more than it answers. Look closely at their iconography. Their rulers often appear emerging from caves or seated inside what look like fetal positions within womb-like thrones. A recurring theme of rebirth, of transformation. Some see these as metaphors for political legitimacy. Others see something more mystical, the suggestion of a belief in beings who came from the earth itself, embodiments of forces that predated humanity. And then there is the astronomy. Long before the Maya recorded the heavens in writing, the Olmecs were aligning cities to celestial events. La Venta, for example, is oriented 8 degrees west of north, not toward magnetic north, but toward the setting sun on certain dates. Such precision hints at a highly developed understanding of the sky, far more advanced than their contemporaries. But again, their knowledge appears fully formed, not gradually developed, as if inherited. The more we explore, the more the origin of the Olmecs feels less like a historical question and more like a riddle. And as we examine this riddle, we run into another strange silence: the lack of warfare. Unlike the Maya, unlike the Aztecs, unlike nearly every other major civilization in the ancient world, the Olmecs left behind almost no evidence of large-scale conflict. Their rise was not carved through conquest or military expansion. It was cultural, ideological, symbolic. Their influence radiated outward, shaping writing systems, religious symbols, architectural styles, and calendar concepts across Mesoamerica. Not through the sword, but through something far more enduring: meaning. Civilizations like the Zapotecs and the Maya adopted and evolved Olmec motifs. They borrowed their deities, their cosmologies, their iconography. Some of the earliest known Mesoamerican writing systems show Olmec influence, as if the very idea of writing descended from them. But if they invented it, why didn't they leave more of it behind? Perhaps they did, and we simply haven't found it. Or perhaps their knowledge was transmitted orally, reserved for an elite priesthood whose rituals died with them. And then comes the greatest mystery of all: their disappearance. Around 400 BCE, after nearly 1,000 years of influence, the Olmec heartlands decline. Cities are abandoned, monuments toppled, ceremonial centers left to sink into the swamps. Some suggest environmental collapse, volcanic activity, river shifts, flooding. Others suggest internal upheaval, but there is no definitive cause. They vanish from history as abruptly as they arrived, yet their legacy doesn't vanish, it transforms. Every major culture that followed them carries echoes of the Olmecs. The jaguar god becomes the Maya Balam. Their concepts of duality, of cosmic order, of rulers as intermediaries between worlds, these become the foundation of Mesoamerican spirituality. But the people themselves fade into obscurity, and what remains is an origin story written not in words but in stone, in the colossal heads that stare silently at us, offering no explanation, in the buried jade that glows like frozen rivers of time, in the mysterious symbols carved on altars whose meanings are forgotten, in the lingering uncertainty that perhaps we are missing a crucial chapter of human history, hidden beneath layers of earth, waiting to be uncovered. Some believe the Olmecs were a lost civilization, a missing link in humanity's long journey. Others believe they were migrants from distant lands, crossing oceans long before recorded navigation. And others still believe they were simply a people far more advanced than we give them credit for, whose achievements survived long enough to seed the world that came after, then vanished in the quiet way that forests reclaim all things. The truth is not known, but the mystery persists, and when you walk among the ruins of La Venta, or gaze into the eyes of a colossal head that seems almost alive, you sense something profound, a feeling that the past is larger, stranger, and more complex than we imagine. A feeling that the Olmecs hold secrets we have yet to unlock. Maybe the truth lies buried beneath the swamps, waiting for archaeologists to find it. Maybe it lies encoded in myths, waiting to be deciphered. Or maybe, just maybe, the truth is stranger than we are ready to accept. Because sometimes the greatest mysteries are not the ones that hide from us, but the ones that stand in plain sight, carved in stone, daring us to understand. And so you are left with a question, one that echoes across time. Who were the Olmecs really? And what part of their story has yet to be told?